I hope you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, great. So I think quite a few folks are here. We can get kicked off. I started share the recording. So just to kick off, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this virtual session. I appreciate your Friday evening time. Um, Not sure from where you're joining, but really appreciate for making this. My name is Manoj Sonone, so I'm a group leader for this Mountain House Salesforce developer community, which is uh, close to Bay Area in Central Valley in California. So maybe at the end, I'll share more resources about the group. And today's speaker is Amit. He's going to talk about lots of exciting tools on kind of a vibe coding using AI tools. So I'm excited to understand and learn school stuff. So over to you, Amit.
Thanks, Manoj, for having me, and very good evening to all of you. I'm joining from Sydney, Australia. So it's a lovely afternoon, 11 o'clock for me here. Even our winters are like 20 degrees. So it's always amazing weather and great city to live in. Today, I'm just going to replay the session which I recently did at TDX Bengaluru. Uh, and the session was around, is English the new Apex? And just talk about vibe coding in Salesforce. And the topic is really a metaphor. It's not really going into Apex as such, or the topic is to really see how the roles of a Salesforce professionals are changing with AI, what sort of tools that they would be using in the future, what sort of skills that they would need to work effectively with those tools, and how uh, at GetGenerative.ai we are building a layer on top of all of those tools to enable a AI first, AI native approach to Salesforce implementation and support lifecycle. So quickly about me, I'm the CEO and co-founder of GetGenerative.ai. This is a very young company, just a year-old company. Um, I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for close to 15 years now, and this is my third startup in the Salesforce ecosystem. The first company which I started was a Salesforce consulting company based here in Sydney, which grew to become one of the largest independent Salesforce partner in the APAC region. We went to from 4 people to 400 people in less than 4 years, between 2014 and 2018, and got acquired by Cognizant. After that, I ran the Salesforce practice for Cognizant in the APAC region. So really been in your shoes as consultant. After that, I started a company called SaaSGuru, which is one of the largest Salesforce skilling and workforce development platform. Some of you might have heard of it or used our platform in your certification or skilling journey. And now building GetGenerative.ai, which will be the demo after the slides. And it's basically an agentic platform which helps you work with agents to manage the entire life cycle of a Salesforce implementation, bringing together all the tools that we are going to talk about. So, just starting with a quote from the CEO of Anthropic, and this quote is actually 6 months old, in which he said that AI will write 90% of the code within 6 months and dominate all coding within a year. And this was not even a prophecy. This was probably just a writing on the wall, which we are seeing come true. I'm sure all of you would have heard of tools like Cursor or Lovable or Windsurf, which are growing faster than OpenAI itself, and have reached 500 million dollar of annual recurring revenue in a period of just 18 months, and literally a $20 billion valuation company with maybe just 10 or 15 staff. So the coding agent or that they are building have become a global phenomena, and everybody is on it, not just individuals but also enterprises who are now getting that capability. So vibe coding is not a fringe thing anymore. It's hobby. It's the new normal, and it's becoming the default standard with absolute widespread adoption. And if you look at the data coming out of GitHub, which is the most relevant source of information or data point, 41% of code is now AI generated on GitHub. 92% of developers are utilizing AI tools, and Copilot contributes 50%, 40% of the code bases that is getting created. So this is just an indication of where the coding is going. But coding is not the only thing. The whole life cycle leading up to coding is also changing with that, right? So there's a vibe business analyst, there's vibe pre-sales, there is vibe a designer, there's vibe tester, and it's not just limited to coding, but vibe across the entire life cycle of implementations. So, vibe coding is a really interesting and fancy term. What what basically it boils down to is quite simple, and that is you are creating an outcome. You're creating a software based on less reliance on your coding skills, but more reliance on what you want to achieve, your taste, your understanding, your preference as a builder. And it is coding by intent with natural language instructions. It is an approach where the AI creates the first draft, and you as a developer are the editor of that, and you're working in iterative manner to achieve the end outcome that you want. So it's a lot of collaboration, and not with a human but with your coding buddy. And it's not a magical process where I'm sure some of you might have seen a demo of Cursor. If you haven't, please go and have a look a few of the demos where people put in literally four-letter prompts like "build me a clone of Airbnb," and the screen completely ignites with the Airbnb look-alike being coded and generated. So that looks magical, and it's not. It is probably a far-fetched idea. It Because there are a lot of underlying things which don't get addressed in that, but it is slowly moving in that direction. So there are still areas where it works really well and areas where it struggles, and those areas in which it is struggling is changing very quickly. So for example, with vibe coding, the apex part of things can be done in an amazing manner with these tools or even other LLMs, while they might be struggling on the configuration related activities when it comes to Salesforce. So, in a nutshell, today, if we look at where it is shining or where it's struggling, it's ideal for new builds or prototyping where the features are isolated, and you're sort of don't really have the legacy challenges or the technical debt challenges or complex integrations or complex compliance and regulatory environment. And it is still to a large extent for large enterprises, it's still an accelerator, not a full replacement of what they do, because the architectural depth, the human oversight, the integrations, they're still probably it is going to that sequential and siloed and time consuming life cycle is getting completely revamped with vibe coding. And what we are now seeing is smaller team, more, eh, I would say, holistic skills, and those holistic skills working with their peer programming tool or a coding tool, and a few other roles, achieving amazing outcomes. So the teams are getting smaller. It is generally becoming one or two well-rounded people who can do business analysis, who can do design, who can do the code related reviews, as well as the test related activities. And really going from the be, design, build, QA, deploy lifecycle to prompt, generate, test, and refine lifecycle. And uh, the even in the context of Salesforce, the future skills are going to be more well-rounded techno-functional consultant who know the Salesforce platform really well, who understand what the clients want really well, and have really in-depth domain knowledge of the industry that they're working in. So if you break it down into the skills that are needed for the future for vibe coding, and it's not just limited to coding, I would say it is the ability to work in a AI first approach or a AI native approach to Salesforce implementation or support. You would need really good prompt engineering skills, and the best part is that you don't need a degree in prompt engineering. The AI is the best place to find the right prompts for you. So just start with sharing what you want to achieve, and let the ask the AI to create the prompt for you. So what it boils down to is being able to join the dots and write the ask questions and then creating the prompts from that. The second part is the system thinking. I think this is super critical, where you're not obsessing with the syntax, but you have a broad view of how those pieces of technology are coming together and solving a problem. So when you see a problem from a client or a vision from a client, you should be able to at least fit the pieces of the puzzle from the Salesforce ecosystem that are coming together to solve that problem. So system thinking is really going to be critical. I think that would shape the overview of the requirement, and the detailing would be done by the AI. And of course, what is now being called as a taste for what you're building, an eye for detail, an eye for UI and UX, and the ability to debug things. The first version, second version, third version is going to be created by AI. It's your role now to debug things and really keep iterating it towards the direction that you want it to be. So these are the things that will matter in the future. Now, if you look at Salesforce and what is happening in the Salesforce world, Salesforce is doing a lot of amazing things on all the different stages, whether it's requirement and design, or AI assisted coding, or quality assurance. And I often get surprised by the lack of uptake of these tools. uh, and I think Salesforce itself has not done itself any service by just focusing on Agentforce, and sort of missing out on some of these amazing tools that are available for the developers in the AI native approach to developing. So if I look at the requirement and design phase, you of course have Agentforce, Prompt Builder, and Agent Builder to build out very quickly agents which can interact and capture the requirement, which can synthesize the requirement, which can process the requirement. And this can happen now in light of what is in your metadata, in your existing org. And that those tools are not readily out of the box, but a lot of your repetitive tasks around business analysis and design can be automated with Agentforce. The second part is the AI tools for assisted coding. I think there Salesforce has done wonders. We've always had Code Builder, now Agentforce for developers, uh, Agentforce for flows, and ApexGuru, which became GA recently. So collectively, these tools are solving for the autocomplete or coding assistance, a correction, etc. And they're still sitting in different parts of Salesforce, which makes it a little bit tricky, but and not creates a unified experience. But yeah, I mean, these tools are only going to get better. And then on the AI tool for quality assurance, you have Code Analyzer, Agentforce Testing Center, the data seeding, which I believe is in GA now, and the DevOps Center. So collectively, these tools are really fast tracking the development lifecycle and making it much smarter. Uh, but of course, there is a problem with this approach, which we are going to talk about. Agentforce for developer, I'll just skip this slide. A bit bold now. I'm sure all of you already know that it has got the dev assistant, inline, autocomplete, and test case generation for both Apex and LWC now. And of course, most importantly, it's in GA and it is no additional license cost. So this whole approach from sales tools that we talked about, a lot of is focused on the last step, right, or second last step, which is actual code generation, right? I think by that time it is a bit late, because the life cycle of building Salesforce starts much earlier, and a lot of the context gets lost in the process, and by the time it reaches the current developer. So the tools are still role based silos. So for example, Agentforce for developers, if you need to write a prompt, you have no way of linking that prompt back to the requirement or the user story or back to the pre-sales discovery high level solution that was created with the client. So it is straight, prompt and create, but the context of the prompt is not flowing smoothly to that developer role. So that's one part. Second is, again, if I used a tool to create the high level design, now if I'm needing to create the user story, I need to jump into another tool. From that user story, if I need to create the outline for the developer, I need to jump into another story. Then the developer needs to rewrite the prompts for creating the codes for that. So there is a lot of context switching that's happening. And lastly, there is no single orchestration hub where you can see this whole life cycle of AI assisted, AI driven life cycle, and create a single body of knowledge which sort of powers the whole life cycle from start to finish. So that's the problem that we are trying to solve with GetGenerative.ai. So the way that we have built the platform, so at the center of the platform is our agents for different roles which you can work with. And as I said, in the future, the roles that the humans would be doing would be more well-rounded end-to-end capabilities, and they would have the benefit of working with these agents to literally manage their entire life cycle of project delivery. So the roles that we have created is the pre-sales agent, the design agent, which is pretty much like a BA, the build agent, which is like a architect and code developer, the test agent, and the support agent. And all of them are driven by our AI orchestration engine. And the most important part is that our platform has the ability to collaborate with your other team members as well as your business stakeholders or customers, depending on what you are working with. You also have the ability to create a repository of all your requirement. You have the ability to create to your Salesforce org and extract the intelligence and the metadata. And most importantly, you have the ability to follow Salesforce best practices. Our agentic approach is aligned to the Salesforce well-architected framework. The agents take decision based on a very complex 10-step life cycle where they take into consideration your metadata, the Salesforce well-architected framework, the architecture guidelines, the data models, etc., etc. All of this sits on top of a Salesforce specific RAG, which is a set of agents which are connected to the Salesforce help and reference sources and are always current with the Salesforce cloud modules, submodules that could be then used as Lego blocks to create a solution. And lastly, you, the platform is also integrated with the likes of Jira or other project collaboration tools that you might be using. You have the ability to bring your own LLM if you don't want to use our standard LLMs. And we have all the best of breed LLMs within the platform. And the integration with Salesforce, Agentforce, CodeGen, and of course, Salesforce core platform itself. So this is the context for the demo that I'm now going to get into, but I'll just pause to take any questions so far before we get into the demo.
Yeah, so I see one question from Conrad about um, asking index of AI prompt tools, like what are the
Mhm.
um, out there, what are the your suggestions? So we can talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not aware of like a single source of the most amazing prompt. It obviously keeps evolving, but there are a few sources which I follow, which I can share after this discussion, which are my personal favorites. So I'll do that, Conrad.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. And just a some follow up on Salesforce tools, right? So um, I mean, some of I have used, and there are quite a few has some like challenges, like
Mhm,
ApexGuru has
mhm, mhm,
some false positive kind of stuff for analysis, right? Static
mhm.
code analysis, and those are not accurate, and there are a lot of caveats around those. So each tool
Absolutely.
has some kind of a drawback. So how are you going to surface, or how are you going to help to
Mhm.
resolve those through your tool, or those are basically just relies on the all those
Yeah,
existing tools?
and I think that's where the human in the loop. The whole point of the human is largely around debugging and iterating. So and the tools that we are using are the worst version of the tools that were ever created, right? Just imagine where they would be in 3 months, 6 months time. If the worst version is doing so well, just imagine in 6 months, 12 months what the best version will be able to do for us. So I think even it's in its current versions, the amount of time saving, the amount of quality improvement that it can have is still phenomenal. But yes, it's an AI tool. It is not always perfect.
Okay, great.
So I'll just please put the questions in there. I'll just move to the demo now, and then we can come back to the questions. I hope all of you can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the homepage of GetGenerative.ai, and what we have built is the pre-sales agent. What it does is it helps you run the high-level discovery. Based on that, creates a proposal, high-level solution, high-level estimate, and resource loading and project schedule, and probably does this in minutes, so you can get back to your prospects or your business owners quicker. Once the sign off on this, the design agent takes over. The design agent, as I mentioned, is your business analyst. So it helps you create the plan for the deeper discovery session. As you're running the deeper discovery, it starts updating or creating the user stories and the acceptance criteria and the low level design. It then hands over to the build agent. Build agent is like your architect. It takes all of those inputs and starts writing the configuration and development steps. The configuration step currently in our platform could be followed by the humans. As far as the development steps are concerned, our code agent picks it up, and that comprehensive prompt goes to the code agent to start building. You can then do the compilation and deployment directly from our platform. The test agent currently caters to manual testing, so writes the test cases and step-by-step guide for testing, along with the test management, defect management activities. Now, by the time we come to the end of the project, all of this knowledge, including the metadata as well as the detail of the requirement, is within our platform now, which allows us to then activate the support agent, which is able to take care of uh, any break fix or change request. It does the triage analysis and creates the solution for those activities. So starting with the pre-sales agent, again, it's a very quick journey. I'll just show you the first few steps of that. So suppose in this case, you've done a discovery with a electricity retailer. They want to build a customer portal, and they want customers to be able to log in, see their usage, pay their bills, request any support issues they want. So in your mind, you'll think, okay, this is a case for Experience Cloud and Service Cloud, and I've got this note from the discovery. Let's just get started with that. So you'll come here, you'll pick up the products. So in this case, I'm picking up Experience Cloud and Service Cloud. You'll select the industry, which is energy and utilities in this case. And here, you can paste all the discussions note that you had. You can also have the voice recording here. You can also upload any structured or unstructured information that you might have at your disposal. So you can upload all of that and then go next. So the first thing is it's completely aligned to the agile approach. So the first thing that it will do is it will start creating the very high level themes for this requirement. So you can completely come here, just have a quick eyeball and review. So Experience Cloud portal, yes, want that. Sales Cloud CRM, no, don't want this right now. Service Cloud case management, Customer 360, we can just give it a miss. Energy usage and insight savings advice, not really. We just want telephony integration, no. SAP integration, yes. So you choose that. If something has been missed out, you can add that, and then you can move next. So what it does next is identifies the key business outcomes that you want to achieve. So increase customer satisfaction, I think too broad, we'll just miss it. Decrease customer churn, yes, let's keep that. Increase operational efficiency, too broad. Decrease service level violation, yeah, we'll keep that, and so on and so forth. So once that is done, you just put a name for the proposal, and it takes about 10 minutes to generate the proposal. So I'll just go to a proposal that's already been generated to save some time. So this is how a first generated proposal will look like. So it's got a nicely written executive summary, which again you can completely rewrite or with AI or with your own insight. The solution is where the magic starts happening. So what it does is that based on the requirements, or it first identifies the themes, then it identifies the high level epics, and then it identifies the requirements against those epics or the features that are required. So as a human, my role is now to review this requirement, and the AI makes it very easy to review because it's giving you citation of where it found these things in your inputs, so that you can make sure there is no hallucination in that. So you can, it also tells you the persona and the clouds that are getting used. So you review the requirement. If anything is missed out, you can add that manually, and then you generate the solution. So the solution, as I said, is generated based on our RAG, which brings together the Salesforce cloud modules, submodules together, and stitches together the solution for that. And when it does that, it also gives you the themes that it is aligned to, the epic, of course. It also tells you the effort that might be required in building that. It gives you the complexity of that. It gives you a description, and also gives you a reason why it has proposed that solution. So again, a way for you to validate whether that's right or wrong, and helps you with your decision making process. Once this is done, the AI then tells you that, fantastic, you gave me some input, I generated the first cut proposal, but here is the additional inputs that you need to get from your clients to help me improve the quality of my output. So it helps you with their discovery questions. You can open up these questions directly to the clients, and they can answer. They can literally just do their voice recording, and the AI will process all of that. Or you can run a discovery with them in person, update that requirement. As you do that, the solution automatically gets regenerated with those inputs. And once that cycle is complete, it creates the project plan. And again, as I said, our approach to delivery is very different. It's more about it. This only identifies the human roles that are required to deliver this project, on top of all the other agentic benefits that you are getting. So it gives you the phases, it gives you the roles. You can of course edit the roles, the hours, the rates, the location, all of that. One very important feature here is the metadata. So what it also allows you to do is connect your org. So if you already have a org and it's a brownfield project, you can connect and extract the top 50 metadata objects, and this then becomes an input into the solutioning. So for example, it has extracted 74 flows, and the AI itself, based on the XML, has given a natural language description of what that flow does and what is the technical description. You can also see the XML here. You can also chat with the metadata. So if you want to explain the lead process flow, you ask that question, it gives you the step-by-step detail of the lead process, and all of this becomes an insight to you and the rest of the team that they are working on this platform. So the last bit is the document AI. As I said, you now have the repository of all the documents in one place. You can upload all the documents here, and you can chat with the document. So you really don't have to worry about where to find what information. It's all, you can literally chat and create insights. It automatically tags it to the right area. So this is, as you would appreciate, a pre-sales activity can be done in hours, where your role is now making sure you are able to understand what clouds are required, what is the domain specific requirements, ask the right question to the client, and do a review of the solution generated by the AI platform. So again, probably a 80-90% saving, and the quality of the proposal massively improved because of the metadata as well as the Salesforce aligned best practices. Once that is done, a lot of things fall through the cracks between the pre-sales and the project stage, but not in our case. So what happens now is that now you start the design agent, and you can convert an existing proposal into a project, which means all the insights that you have created, collected, analyzed, now flow into the next roles. So a very effective handover from the pre-sales to the sales team. So let's just open what the design agent does now. So what the design agent does is, again, it's connected to the metadata. It's got the document benefit. It creates that a discovery plan. So it creates all the questions that you need to ask to run a discovery with the client. Again, you can run the discovery in person or have them answer these questions. As you are doing it, it's already creating the user stories. So against the same themes epics, if the requirements have changed, it will get updated, and against the updated requirement, it will start writing user stories. The user stories are again done in tremendous amount of depth. So you have the title, you have the acceptance criteria, which is super important downstream, and the low level design of how this user story would be delivered. And you have the low level design at a epic level as well. So now if you want, you can connect this platform with your Jira org. There is a two-way sync between our platform and Jira, which allows you to continue grooming the stories there or continue grooming the stories here. So again, in the discovery stage, planning a discovery, running a discovery, coming back with those notes, writing the user stories, seeing the impact of what goes where, then revising it. It's a nightmare. It takes weeks and weeks. It can now be done in a much more streamlined and effective manner using the platform. Once the design is done, our build agent comes into the picture. So what it does now is go, takes it to the next level. So the design which we previously had, themes, epic, user stories, high level solution and low level solution, now it has started creating the implementation workbook, which means it has identified all the areas of assignment rules or dashboards or flows, whatever needs to be created, as well as whatever needs to be only updated and not created from scratch. So it is aligning itself to the Salesforce best practices. It is aligning itself to the metadata. So for example, this flow, it is saying it is an update to an existing flow, not a new flow. So if you quickly open that, it gives you the description, the assumption, and the developer notes, a step-by-step guide telling, review the existing web to lead flow, blah, 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 and all the next steps there. So something which an probably an architect will take days and days to do and might still miss out, because no architect has got that superpower of knowing everything about all the clouds and all the well architected framework, is done by the AI. And the role of the architect is to do a thorough review of that. So anything which is a configuration, we have detailed steps to do that created by the AI. Anything here which is a coding would now be picked up by our coding agent. So what our coding agent does is identifies, for example, in this class, in this case, there was an Apex class to be created. What it has done, it has created a detailed prompt, which will we earlier talked about in the vibe coding, the challenge being the no context and hence one shot prompting. In this case, everything that has happened from the user stories to acceptance criteria to low level design, high level design, a configuration workbook, is now coming to the coding agent, and the coding agent is able to create that. It all flows to the coding agent prompt. It generates the first cut output, and then you can iterate with the coding agent in your typical vibe coding experience that you would have seen in other platforms. It is integrated with all the best of the breed coding agents here, so you can choose any, you can move from one to the other. You can also do the compilation of the code and deploy the code here. What the whole code base is also extracted here, so it you can see that in one place. You can also do the test case creation. So that allows to have a massive amount of saving in the coding. You are also able to define the best practices for coding that you follow, and the AI will be completely aligned to that. So for Apex classes or triggers or LWC, whatever best practices that you follow, you can define it here. Then moving on to the test agent, again, right now it is catering to the manual testing. So it creates the test plan, test strategy, and then starts writing the test cases. You can sync the test cases also within Jira as an issue against the user story. It gives you a step-by-step approach to testing, so makes it much easier to downstream automate this using this input, as well as for a junior QA also to follow the right step for testing, and then planning the test runs and the defect management activities within the platform. The last step is the support agent. Now we have all this knowledge base consolidated, so you can connect it with your ticketing tool. We are going to use MCP to connect with Jira, for example, and have all the history of the case being synced both way. So what it does, it does the triage, it identifies the functional requirement, it creates the solution description, and then creates a workbook for the human support agent to follow. A lot of companies still have complex steps and approvals before you can deploy things and approve. So the human can follow those internal steps. Once that is deployed, the user stories get updated automatically. So the this is the end-to-end view on how we are solving. We are using the Salesforce best practices, building it on top of Salesforce, using the Salesforce tools along with the industry leading tools to build an end-to-end life cycle for Salesforce implementation. So I'll stop now. Happy to take any questions or a general discussion around what we just shared.
Well, I definitely have some questions. I don't know, can I proceed? Okay. So this is Conrad. So in the old days, um, you'd have a business analyst get together with the business, and they would talk about business workflows
Mm-hmm.
and document that.
Mm-hmm.
And then as processes got refined, it would be delivered to a coder, a developer, programmer, analyst, whatever. And well, first the BA would have generally um, to get management buy-off, they would have diagrams with swim lanes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the process flow diagrams, and then it goes to the developer, and depending on all the departments, technical departments that it's interfacing with, whether it was communications or different or different databases, what have you, um, they would create uh, a flow chart of
Mm-hmm.
some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately, when the project was formed, unless you had an application like Jira,
Mm-hmm.
a project management software package, 9 out of 10 times your project ended up in Excel
Mm-hmm.
to be managed by whoever the product or project manager was for that project.
Mm-hmm.
So what my question is, first of all, very impressive what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Very impressive. Um, but everything is in text.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the first thing I think of is how am I going to get the VPs to buy off on this? Are
Mm-hmm.
they even going to understand this?
Mm-hmm.
So how? Uh, and besides that aspect of having some kind of diagram capability,
Mm-hmm.
so if I have an industry changing idea, and I know you're saying you're interfacing with Salesforce best practices.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the AI you're using, is my idea protected with the Salesforce trust layer?
Yeah. So I think on the first part, Conrad, I think it's a fair point. I think it's a bit text heavy right now. We are working on the capability of creating some diagrams, which makes it more visual and probably more engaging for the user. So absolutely in our backlog. The second part about your data. So the data, the metadata that we are extracting is coming onto a platform which is secure. Our platform is hosted here in Australia, along with the recent ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliance. So that is residing here. The second part is about the data transmission between our platform and the AI. So we are using the Amazon Trust Layer. It allows us to build about 20 guardrails, which are enabling the protection of all PIA and other data privacy rules. So the Amazon Bedrock layer is the equivalent of the Salesforce trust layer, which allows us to secure data when it moves between our platform and the LLMs. And the last part is that the LLMs don't learn from that data. That is part of our licensing with the LLMs. So that's how we are enabling it right now.
Okay, good. Very impressive product. Very impressive.
Thank you. I think Adam has a question.
Okay, I think we have one question here from Adam.
Mhm.
So basically, he put this question during your demo about each agents, right? How you choose those areas based on what background, so like a pre-sales, etc.
Mhm. Yep, I think it's all naturally aligns to what you're doing in the project. Adam. So if the business has already done the user stories and high level, low level design, you can just input that and start working with the design agent and start creating the configuration outline and move forward. So it sort of so if you look at the role, right? So pre-sales, again, logical, anything before the project has commenced. Then the design, which is pretty much a BA role of detailing the design and writing the user stories, low level design. Then the build, which is again the step two of that, and then the test and support. So we've sort of aligned it to the roles. So pre-sales aligns to pre-sales, design aligns to BA, build aligns to architect, the coding agent aligns to developer, and the test aligns to test, and support aligns to support. So we've kept it that way.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. I was curious when you were sort of prototyping this, if you potentially saw those lines are a little more blurred now. Do they still feel like when you're using this product that it's like a traditional use case in every scenario, or do you see those lines are like blurring a little now? I know you talked about having a smaller team that's a little more well-rounded and would know those roles a little more. So I didn't know if you saw things still pretty
Yep.
cut and dry or a little more blended.
Um, and that's a good point. So the way I personally see is that I don't need a BA to work with a design agent or a developer to work with a code agent. I now need one unified role which can work with all of these agents. So that is the blurring that is happening. Or all the roles are in flux right now. They're converging into a
Right.
more singular, well-rounded, broader role.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. And I'll echo Conrad. This looks very impressive. I'm anxious to give it a try.
Thank you. Thanks, Al.
Okay, thank you guys. And Juan, I guess you have some question. You raise hand, so we can go next.
Yeah, to echo what Adam's saying, I'm seeing the GetGenerative.ai page, and I don't see like I see the demo, I see webinars listed, I see some other like educational pieces listed, but nothing where I can kind of sign in. Like where's an academy to kind of figure out? Okay, I just saw you demo this. This makes it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to play with the tool, use the tool. I understand that I guess the pro level, yes, I should be paying the subscription to actually use this on projects.
Mm-hmm.
But just like using a recipe or anything else in Salesforce, I'm going to want to build like a few of these before I even talk to anybody else about, hey, we should start using this platform for this. How do I get that? Or is that like down the road?
Now we can right now we are enabling like companies. So our step is like a demo to companies, then giving them a trial access, and then signing up with them. And there's a huge pipeline of that. But we can give individual access as well, especially with these user groups. So if you are interested, one, just drop me a message on LinkedIn, and I would love to enable that for you.
Okay, yeah, because like I'm a developer, so the way it's like I saw your process and I'm like, this would start at the build phase, right? Because by the time like we're a product company, we don't have a pre-sale. This analytics is basically our product organization, right? But when it comes to, we already have those tickets, we already have Jira populated. Now, how do I take that and make the technical documentation that comes with it and bring the stories and the subtasking and everything else? And I'm like, okay, I see where this could definitely help, especially because you said it's a two-way integration. So I can take our current Jira stories, feed
Yep.
them this way, and then continue the process from there instead of having to try to start at the beginning.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm kind of seeing.
No,
Okay. Yeah.
I'll enable access for you. Please reach out, and would love to get your feedback on the platform too.
Yeah, thank you. I'll do that.
Great. So I have a couple questions. I mean, if nobody has any, okay, Sandeep, you have some questions, so go ahead. Sandeep, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. All right. So yeah, meanwhile, I'll ask questions. So I have couple questions. Basically, um, I deal with a lot of solutions which is enterprise level. I mean, not just a CRM, but a lot of GTM tools get involved. A lot of integration tools get involved. A lot of other systems get involved. And when it comes to data modeling or kind of projects which has a data migration activities, or there are a lot of stuff goes with data model and the data.
Mm-hmm.
So is any of those building blocks? I don't know whether we have any tool in Salesforce for those kind of um, helping developers or architects to build around those. But outside those, just curiosity, is there any additional AI tools which can be plugged in, suggesting some uh, kind of best practices
Mm-hmm.
for integrations or third parties, or maybe there are a lot of scenarios where we end up solution on the ApexGen, right? I mean, which is kind of uh, maybe Salesforce provided solutions, or so those are the kind of things which doesn't go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so those are pretty manual, like it goes through reviews and coming to solutions. So how those things are envisioned in this whole journey?
Okay. I mean, there are obviously a number of tools which are emerging for different parts of the Salesforce lifecycle. The way we are solving it is currently largely based on the metadata. So whatever inputs can come through the metadata, you can have a more free flowing conversation with the metadata and understand a few underlying things which might be the challenge. As far as data migration, data model, some of those things are currently not addressed, um, and probably those things, there's probably a lot of that would change with the Salesforce MCP, with allowing Salesforce to really go beyond just the metadata, and any system being able to talk to every part of Salesforce and get any sort of data within the Salesforce platform. So I think from my point of view, I'm most excited about that, and using MCP also in our conversation with a existing Salesforce org. So that's probably the space to watch from my point of view.
Okay. And yeah, and that's something even I'm trying to understand how can help roles like me.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you on that. And the last question probably on the, the build, I guess where the DevOps fits in, right?
Mhm.
DevOps. Um, so is it like a, I mean, DevOps side is in line with, let's say, my deployment model is different using different tools, and they might have some AI tools already.
Mhm.
So is it going to utilize that information, or it just stick to Salesforce tools like a DevOps Center?
So our preference would be to stick to Salesforce tool, because you can push it out into the Salesforce, back those code, and then continue the DevOps journey from there on. Uh, we are also working on building a connector to VS Code, which allows us to push it there, and then the normal life cycle of deployment can continue from there. So we are probably more inclined to go the VS Code way, which allows developers to work as they are working right now without too much disruption. And
Yeah.
then the other tools also sitting on top of VS Code, which makes it more seamless.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, pushing to the GitHub or repository from VS Code,
Mm.
that's standard. And then after that, yeah, it's up to teams to do.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So Sandeep, are you back? If you have question, I still see your hand raised, or okay, you cannot unmute. Let me see whether I can unmute him. You can type your question. Yeah, I think some permission issues on your side. That's why it's blocked. I cannot unmute or mute you. But you can type your question here if possible. Yes, we'll be sharing this recording and the deck. So I'll be posting those, and you'll get a communication via the same RSVP link. So you'll get all those details. And again, you can connect to Amit on LinkedIn. He's pretty active on LinkedIn, and he can answer any open questions if you want to get a trial. So yeah, he's he can help on that. Yeah. So again, Sandeep's question is core agent empowered to take cross-functional systems. So I think that's question probably it's talking about third parties, right?
Cross-functional systems. Uh, do you mean that is it able to work with different LLMs? If that's the question, yes, we have the ability to choose any LLM, best of the breed LLM. So we have Anthropic, we have Cloud, we have Codex on the platform, and Gemini. So we support all of that. Coding agent, generally underlying intelligence that it is driving from is the LLMs, which means it can go cross-functional. It is not limited to Salesforce, but the way we are prompting it, it is in a very Salesforce specific manner, because for cross-functional system there are already the likes of Cursor which are killing it. So we don't want to be in that space at all.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, based on your demo, right? So it's just like a starting with a user story and baking into the whole solution. So let's say lots of orgs have a lot of technical depths, right? Now I'm using a lot of subflows and architecting, and then flow architecture came, which helps a little differently. Then we are using some um, triggers with a maybe just bulkify way, but now I'm moving to the enterprise, like a um, uh, the finance library, enterprise patterns, and all those things. So those are, I don't know whether CodeGen does get counted on those, or those just get best practices, or do we have a way to tell them, oh, this is how my coding patterns are, and then only generate based on that. So where those fits into those kind of
So,
scenarios.
oh, three ways. So one is obviously the Salesforce best practices which are embedded. Second is you can define your own organization specific best practices, and third is that it always takes a decision in consideration of the existing metadata. So if there are things which already exist and can be modified, it will take that approach rather than rebuilding a flow or just unnecessary coding.
So metadata, I mean, it will also read the existing code to understand the patterns and follow that.
Yep.
Okay, that's correct. Yep, super exciting, and that's a really great product. Adam, you're back, so yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, last question. What sort of, from your clients that are currently using it or have used it, what sort of scaling or time reduction have they seen when using GetGenerative for like their entire process?
Yeah. So we recently ran a user survey. We had 200 respondents, close to 200 respondents, and the average weekly time saving for an individual role was up to 10 hours. The average project productivity gain was up to 40%. So that again is the overall average. It does even better for some core clouds, and does worse for some newer industry clouds. So it is, but the thumb rule is that, if you're running a standard core cloud project, you'll probably be 40-50% better off from an effort point of view.
That's fantastic. Great to hear.
Okay, so on the same note, what Adam was asking, so let's say at an executive level, I want to adopt this, right? And then there are a lot of discovery, there are a lot of budgeting question, ROI. So have you done that kind of exercise with multiple vendors already? How's your approach? Or do you have any specific model?
Yeah. So our licensing is like really delivers ROI maybe in 2 weeks time. So the way it's licensed is only the Salesforce technical team needs to have it, and it's 50 USD per user per month. And if you're saving like even 4 hours, you've recovered your license cost. So it gives every role access to all the agents, and then there is consumption of tokens on top of that. So if you're running a standard org, you'll probably have maybe a token consumption of maybe $200-300 a month for an entire org, a fairly comprehensive large org with hundreds of users. So that way, it's a very simplified licensing and a huge ROI.
Okay. And do you have right now any customers, or it's based in which locations?
So we have, I mean, close to at this stage about 32 organizations using it. They are both end user organization as well as some consulting companies using the platform.
Okay.
And they are, I would say 50% of them are in the US, and probably 30% in Australia, a few in Europe, and a few in India.
Great. Yeah. Pretty impressive product. And again, thank you, Amit, for showcasing this. Okay, one more question came in. Okay, LM tokens bought through generative, or those
Yes.
tokens still bought directly?
No, we have one unified licensing, so you can switch LLMs, but you have one unified licensing. You can transparently see your token usage and top up as you need.
Okay, great. Great. Any last questions, guys? I know it's almost hour. No questions, then again, thank you very much. Thank you for joining today, and thanks, Amit, for giving this wonderful demo. Again, feel free to connect on LinkedIn or our team's channel. So yeah, community channel, group. So there are a variety of links I'm going to post after as part of survey. So again,
Great.
thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me, and enjoy your evening and the weekend. Cheers, guys.
Thank you, Amit.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.